Hello everyone, Ken McAuliffe, a jazz vinyl audiophile back again today to talk about the Jones Brothers. Now in jazz there are two sets of Jones Brothers to my way of thinking. Two of these are purely spiritually connected Jones Brothers. The other three are connected by flesh and blood. The first being the great Jones Brothers of jazz drumming, Joe Jones, Philly Joe Jones, and Elvin Jones. And then as far as flesh and blood goes, we have the Jones clan from Detroit, Elvin Jones, Hank Jones, and Thad Jones. And today I thought, by way of those first two drummers, I would segue into that third drummer, Elvin Jones, and just talk about some of my favorite Elvin Jones records, why I think Elvin was such an outstanding, one of the legendary figures in jazz. But first up, the great Joe Jones, and this is one of his records. Joe didn't make that many solo records, but this one is just called The Drums. It's similar to the Baby Dodds record, Talking Drums, where Baby Dodds takes you through the different styles of the drummers that influenced him. Here, Joe does the same thing. Of course, Joe Jones, the great drummer who came up, I believe, primarily with Count Basie, and is the innovator of what we think of as tss, 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 on the hi-hat, that great ride cymbal beat, which also Kenny Clark played a role in, I believe. I'm sure you will correct me if I am incorrect, but I believe that is correct. But anyway, this is a really fun record, and you get to hear Joe Jones take you through all the different drumming styles that he came up with, and he has such a delightful way of speaking. I don't know where he was from originally, perhaps St. Louis, but it's just of a piece. I mean, no one speaks like this anymore, and he was such a character, both on his drums and in his life, and just such a force, and so graceful and swinging. There's another record he did around this time. This is on the French Jazz Odyssey label, the soundtrack to a movie called The Adventure, I believe done in the late 50s, that among many different performers, blues and jazz, includes duos between Joe Jones and organist Milt Buckner. They also did an album together, and it is just a riot, because Milt Buckner was, he'd talk as he was playing. It was almost like a DJ narrating and just getting all these bizarre effects out of the Hammond B3, and the two of them together are just a load of fun. Of course, another great Jones drummer, coming into the modern era, I suppose, Philly Joe Jones, who played on so many Blue Note sessions and Riverside sessions, one of the greatest jazz drummers, perhaps the greatest jazz studio drummer. Of course, he played in Miles Davis's 50s quartet, but he recorded with so many people because his drumming is so sturdy and reliable and consistent. His ride cymbal beat is so powerful and clean, and he's such a great, tasteful drummer. There's a happy, swinging, gleeful face, but just what a locomotive of a drummer this guy was, and very graceful and artful, and he played such great figures to set the bands up. So this is a fun record. I believe this is right in the middle of his period with Miles Davis. On this record he covers Salt Peanuts, Muse Rapster, Dear Old Stockholm, Two Bass Hit. And then moving into our Elvin Jones category, Philly Joe and Elvin on Atlantic. Not a very creative cover there, but a fun cover nonetheless. And they're such totally disparate and distinct players. Even on this record, their playing style meshes a little bit. They become more alike than dissimilar. And it's hard because, as I recall, I haven't listened to this in a while, this is a mono record, so you have to kind of pick out who's who, and they are playing at the same time. But again, this is a really fun record. I guess this is a pretty rare record now to find. I still see it every once in a while, an original Atlantic recording. Then I thought I would talk about, I have quite a few Elvin Jones records, so I wanted to show you a few that are great, that are good to me but not great. Elvin on Vanguard. There's another record on Vanguard with Elvin playing with the acoustic group Oregon. That's pretty unusual. But Elvin's such a great master musician, he can fit into any scenario and make it swing. If you hear Elvin early on, pre-Coltrane, he's more graceful and lithe and sort of reticent than not. He's a pure swinger. He's more like a Jimmy Cobb or something. You don't hear that ferocious style that he became known for, such as on Tommy Flanagan Overseas, which I have here somewhere. It's been reissued many times. It's just all brushes with Tommy Flanagan, pianist, Wilbur Ware bass, and Elvin playing in Stockholm, I believe. And he's just getting so much out of it. He's such a beautiful brush player. Alone. And people say brush playing is a lost art. I really don't think it is. If you listen to Bill Stewart or Kenny Washington, contemporary drummers who play incredible brush work, or there's a drummer named Chris Corsano, I believe, who's more of a free player, and then Cameron, I can't remember his name, a modern young guy who plays the heck out of brushes. And not to mention Gregory Hutcherson and all those kind of guys. But anyway, Elvin, one of the Blue Note twofers that Michael Kuskuna pulled at. Elvin Jones Coalition with his wife Keiko there. Elvin Jones Genesis, Starman. Yes, is this Reed Miles on Blue Note? Who knows? Elvin on Riverside. I have a very soft spot in my heart for Japanese Denon Trio 3 Blind Mice recordings made for the Japanese audience. And these are 2. That's on Denon. This is on Trio, where he's playing big double tom sets. The Japanese recordings are extremely well recorded. I have a couple with Roy Haynes, with Ron Carter, and they're just so well recorded because they care so much about jazz in Japan. You really hear the fidelity of the drums, the tone, the attack, the texture, the tone of the cymbal, the drums, the drum heads, the space. I can't recommend these records highly enough. Soul Train and Elvin Jones Jazz Machine Live in Japan Volume 2. I didn't know it was a Volume 1. Elvin Jones is on the mountain with bassist Gene Perlin and the great Jan Hammer. Jan Hammer in the 80s, known for Miami Vice. Before that he played with Mahavishnu. Before that he played with Sarah Vaughan. And I think one of the best monophonic synth players, especially Mahavishnu, that there ever was. One of Elvin's earlier records, and I think he was on Impulse before he was on Blue Note, Dear John C. Very intimate, very sort of low-key record. I think because it's a tribute to John Coltrane. Probably came out not long after Coltrane passed. Elvin's on a couple of different records on Impulse with the bassist Jimmy Garrison, and these are raucous, freewheeling, rambunctious records. They're really kind of partying. This is Illumination, the other one is Heavy Sounds, and they are just having a blast. Recorded Rudy Van Gelders, and they're they're just raw records, experimental to a degree. Nothing polite about those records. Then to me, the 2 best Elvin Jones records on Blue Note, they both feature the same trio of Joe Farrell and Jimmy Garrison. This one, the ultimate Elvin Jones stereo. The original pressing is a Liberty Blue Note. I paid $25 for this. And putting it together, also on Liberty. You can see the label there, upside down. Elvin in a trio is really special because he's free to let his spirit roam and to unleash his power, but he's also very graceful at the same time. So you can't go wrong with any of those. Just thought I'd talk a little bit about Elvin Jones today. Thank you so much for watching my channel. Please subscribe if you feel so moved by the spirit, and thanks for checking in, and I hope you have a great week. Bye.